Good morning, everybody. We are going to learn today about the game Factris. And I'm going to go ahead and explain the game to you, show you a couple of tricks and ideas about how to play the game. And then when I'm done, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and give the game a try. So let's start looking at some of our slides. You can see that this game is based on matching your multiplication facts with an array model. And we have talked about these arrays before when practicing multiplication. You've probably used them in fourth grade as well. And so this game will use that idea of an array to represent a multiplication fact. If you look on the picture on the screen, you see a green array. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You also see like an orange, long, skinny array. And these arrays represent different multiplication facts. With the idea that if you see the array with the fact, and you have to decide if you want to switch the shape of the array for that multiplication fact to fit in the game, that's going to help you with memorizing, okay? So my only warning is on the bottom. It says, be careful. You might not be able to stop playing because it's a really fun game. I really like it. I've played it a lot, and I've shared it with my family too. They also like it. Okay, so you'll notice on this next screen that we're talking about, again, your math facts and matching it with this geometric representation. Take a minute and look at the screen in front of you where you see all the multiplication facts or representations for the number 6. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about those that we do see on this screen here, where you have all the representations of the facts that give you the product of 6. We see a bunch of them, and they kind of repeat, but you'll notice there are at least 4 representations for the number 6. One of the representations is the one that is more rectangular in shape, and it's 2 by 3. And that's the first one. 2 by 3 looks just like that. You've got the number 2 on the left side, kind of like the height, and 3 as the length of the array. But 3 times 2 looks different. The height now is 3, and the length is 2. And they're very similar, but the shape is different. And you're going to need to know that for your game because some shapes are better than others when you're trying to fill a big space. Okay? Likewise, if we look on this next screen, you see that 6 times 1 looks like a long, skinny, tall tower. But 1 by 6 looks kind of like a low-bearing wall. The height's very small. It's only 1. So there's different ways to represent facts, and like I said, that's extremely important. Okay. So let's look here. Here is a screen again that we saw in an earlier slide, and it's really asking you to think about facts that are going to come shooting down. They're going to come raining down. So for instance, at the top of your screen, you see 20. And you see a 4 by 5 rectangle of 20. And you have to think that my job is to fill that big grid that you can see. And do I want to have a 4 by 5 shape? Or do I want to change it so it looks maybe 5 by 4 or 1 by 20, 20 by 1? What kind of rectangular array do you want? Because your goal in this game is to fill up as much space as possible, and that's how you get the points. So you don't want any little space in between the arrays to exist. Now, there will be some spaces because it's really tough to fill everything. But the really interesting part about this, all of you, is that while your brain is trying to say, do I want a 4 by 5 or a 5 by 4 for 20? Your brain is starting to connect your multiplication facts. And that's really cool because that's how the brain works. And we're going to use that when we play this game. And that's, I think, a better way to memorize your multiplication facts, where it makes this connection with the geometric representations in our game. Okay, I'm going to try to be really brave and show you how I play this game, all right? Here is the game Factris. The link is in the slides and it's in this presentation, so you can get it in just a minute. I'm going to click on the arrow and I want you to watch what happens. I'll stop it when I'm either not going fast enough or when I want to explain something. So give me a minute and I'll open it up. Okay, I have 12 times 1, and I have learned from this game that it's better to have tall, skinny ones at first. So I flipped it by using this button down here, and then I'm taking my arrow, I like things neat and tidy, and I'm going to put it there. As soon as I do that, notice what happens. So now I think maybe I'll bring this over here, and I'll try and squeeze it in right down there. I like it, and I got some points. Cool. So now 2 times 1, wow. I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to move it all the way over here so that it fills right there. I'll get some points for that. Now this one, I'm going to see if I can fit it. And I'm going to go this way. Maybe it's too big. I think this is 18 if I counted. Nope, I didn't. Game's over because I miscounted the grid, and my 18 by 1 was too high for the game. And so the game cancels. I get some points. Let's count these grids. If I notice, I've got 4, they're 4 by 4. Each grid is 4 by 4. So there's a height of 4, 8, 12, 16. So the biggest tower I want now, I know, is 16 by 1. I want that tall, skinny one. Going across as well is 16. 16 by 1. So what am I going to do when I get a fact like 18 times 1? I know I can't do the long, skinny array. I'm going to have to go 2 times 9. That's going to have to be my version. Or 3 times 6, I guess. One of those is what I'm going to have to use. So I'm going to have to use these buttons right down here to reconfigure my shape. I'm going to play it one more time. Okay, so I reset, and here we go. Now I know I can't make 1 times 10. Well, maybe I'll make 4 times 5. Maybe I like that better. And I decide to go down here. There you go. Now 1 times 8. You know what I want? I want it to go right down next to my 4 times 5. Whew, there, that fits. Now this one, I'm not really sure what to do with. So I think I'm going to turn it real skinny. And I'm going to put it over here. And now I've used up 9 spaces out of the 16. So I'm looking for like 7. 7 would be great. This one would have been perfect for the very bottom. But I'm going to try to fit it in here with my rows and columns of 4. And this one, I'm not really sure what to do with, but I think I'll make it tall and skinny. And stick it right over here. Now I'm looking for like 3 times 4. That would be a nice one, but I don't get it. So what do? Maybe I just do this too, right here. And I can put in, there's 5. Actually, and 7. I was looking for 7 before, wasn't I? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put 7. Voila. Okay, having a better game than I did last time. But you see, it's very easy to play and it's very easy to restart. But I start knowing my shapes and figuring out what I can do. 2 times 11, 22. Look, it's going to fit right down there. Okay, so I'm going to stop. So this is a really fun game for you to play. And I'm going to ask you after we're done for you to play it and then do a couple of other things. So let's get back to my slides. I want to look at some terms. In red, you see the word product down here on the bottom of the screen. And remember, the product is the answer you get when you multiply 2 factors. So the product of 4 times 5 is 20. The product is 20, and the factors are 4 and 5. You need to decide whether you want 5 times 4 for your factors in that order, or the same factors as 4 times 5, depending on how they fit in the game. Okay? The geometric representation. We've been using that word a lot, and we're going to use that word with fractions as well. But the geometric representation is kind of like the array. It's like looking at a shape with dimensions, like it looks like a rectangle, which is, is part of geometry, looking at shapes and their lengths and their widths and their height. Okay, so this is what we're doing here with two-dimensional shapes. We've got an array with, some people say height by length, other people say height and width. Really, you got two dimensions going two different ways. Okay, so I do want you to notice that. All right. Also, what I want you to notice is this shape right here. We can put that anywhere. Like I'm thinking, where would I want to put that shape if it was coming down and I almost had not enough time or not too much time to decide? Where would you put it? Can you stop and think about where? I'm thinking I might take it real snugly and put it right here next to what looks like an 8x1. And the reason I say that is, I don't know, because I like things in fours. And there's a height of 5. And wow, that's only a width of 3. So it probably would wind up right here. And I would fill in this whole space. And then I'd wait for my next. I will tell you a little hint that I have learned, that if you get something that can be presented as a 16x1, so that would be a product of 16 or 12 or 15. I tend to turn them skinny first and start to fill up that space, because in the end, it's harder to fill those spaces in after you've filled out the rest of the grid. But you get to try that on your own for sure. Okay, so here's a screen that has game over as well. And what I want you to notice is there are little spaces that were hard to fill right there. One that's 2x1, a 1x1, super tricky. If you have some of those, like a 2x1 or a 1x1, I think you're doing really well, because those are going to happen. This one here, you've got a 4x1 and a 1x4, totally different. So maybe next time you see something that equals the product of 4, instead of doing 2x2, you decide to go 1x4 or 4x1 and use those to fill in. But look here, if this was the game was over, it was 21. And the person tried 21 times 1. Well, we kind of know that that's not going to fit anywhere, right? Because our grid, that white grid, is 16 by 16. So the longest length you can have is 16. But that doesn't matter, because you know what? You just start the game again, and it's really fun, and it's very quick. I want to draw your attention right up here. That tells you the next products that are coming. Now, at first, I never looked at this. I just thought, I got enough to do with all these falling arrays, and I just focused on the falling arrays. But after I played for a while, because it was really addictive for me, I really liked it, I started noticing these numbers up here, and I'm going to show you those. I'll play one more game. These numbers tell you, hey, next you're going to see these products. Remember, the product here, I'm going to write that, is the answer in the multiplication problem. So that's going to be the total number of squares in your array. Okay, that's what a product is. It's the answer in multiplication, if you remember. So since I know these are the products that are coming, keep in mind that I've got to kind of save space, and I want to fit those products with the ones that are falling or the ones that are already on my grid. So think about that. Okay, so we're back at the screen, and I'm playing again, and I see 2. Yeah, so I don't know what to do with that except turn it like this and bring it over here. Now I've got a height of 11, so I'm thinking 5 would be good. 2 though. Well, I might take that. Might take that all the way over and bring it here. And then I've got another one. Interesting, right? But the thing is, once it gets to now, see, that's something interesting, right? Once it gets past that height, you've got to play it. So I got to be faster next time, right? And there I go. Now, maybe I can help myself out by lining that 10 up here. Does that make sense? And now I've got a 3. Wow, it's like they want to help me or something. I don't know. There, now I've got a nice row. And I'm trying to wait to see when our next, okay, so I'm going to stop it and notice my next blocks. Now I see that. So probably first should come 15, but maybe first 8. I'm not sure. So I'm going to watch, but try to keep an eye on those blocks, and I'm going to do that too, so I can say, I should make space for those, be thinking about those. But remember, that's because I've played the game for a while. At first, don't even worry about them. I'm going to go down here with that. And what comes next is that 15 that was up there, right? So I'm going to, I know I have to do something different. Oh, it's not going to let me change it anymore. So now I'm going to go all the way over here because I know 16 is the tallest. Okay, then comes my 16. And I'm going to flip that. And I'm going to bring it over next to the 15. And next coming is the 7. So what happens with the 7? I think I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to come on over here, and I'm going to put it in there, and now I've got a 1, which is not, that's what I needed. And see, if I thought about what was coming next, Mrs. Huggins, I would have known that. And a 20 is coming next, so I'm thinking 4 by 5 might be nice. And I'm going to bring it over here. And there we go. So I'm going to stop that right now, pause, and get your exit slip next. Okay, so here's a slide that just has the link on it for you in case you need another go at it. And then I want you to be mindful of this last couple of slides. Each of you has an exit slip, and you can write right on the slide, right? And I just want you to write down what you liked about playing the game for number 1. What was difficult for number 2? What was difficult about playing the game? And number 3, just list 3 math facts that you now think you know better because of playing the game. If you only have 2, that's fine. But try to think about the ones you saw over and over again, and your brain was starting to get them a little bit quicker. Remember, when you see 21, right? There's no way you can do 1 times 21. It's going to force you to think about 3 times 7 or 7 times 3. But the great part is you don't have to memorize that. Once you click on that bottom button that changes the shape of the array, all of a sudden that fact becomes very visible. So that's why I enjoy this game so much. Have fun, and we will talk about the game at our next class. Bye-bye, and have a great